Greetings, salutations, and salutes. Salutations and salutes. Is that the same thing but longer or different? Sorry. Sorry about 9:06. I was trying to line up our guest for 10:30, and it has to do with what happened yesterday in Lexington. So we'll be joined by Lexington SC and their front office at 10:30 to talk about the move from USL 1 with the stadium to USL Championship. We'll get into that at 10:30. And we got transfer news. Well, it's reports because I would think that news has to do with completions. I guess so. We technically have both. So we've got transfer news in Major League Soccer. We have transfer notes in Major League Soccer. We have transfer notes all around the planet that are available to us as well because the Premier League season is starting, as Jason said, starts on Friday. And so we have the sum total of like 2 days to get everything squared away, at least before the season starts, set your fantasy teams, all those kinds of things. And we've got all of that stuff that happened. We've got Leagues Cup that happened last night. So there was Leagues Cup after dark. Trust me, there was Leagues Cup after dark. We'll get into that. We'll get into the Leagues Cup. We're now down to the round of 8 for the weekend, and we'll roll through all of that. So there's news, there's reports, there's stuff, there's people, there's guests, and there's whatever's on your mind because it's a Wall Pass Wednesday. Thanks for dropping by as you always do here on Soccer's Morning Show here on the SDH Network. John, hear you there. And it literally is whatever's on your mind because that's what Wall Pass Wednesday is all about. If you got the chance to see the Abstermobile version 2.0, been posted to social media, so congratulations to Abby. She now has, and I've seen the picture, so I guess we can give congratulations. So picture is there. Abstermobile 2.0 exists, and hopefully everything works electronically and it starts and it does all the fancy things that Abstermobile 2.0 is supposed to do. So congratulations to Abby for getting the new Abstermobile. And we get to see her style and profiling like only she should look behind the wheel of the new Abstermobile. And anything else on your mind? Like I said, Wall Pass Wednesday traditionally is not just about soccer. If there's anything that's bugging the ish out of you, that's what the Twitch pitch is for. That's what the conversations are for. So it's all over the place. And traditionally, that's where we are on Wednesdays. So we have put out the bat signal to our traditional Wednesday guests. And we will see if they can hang out here on the planet and figure out what in the heck's going on. And I'm trying to think, did I send? I don't think I did because I'm an idiot. Okay, so hang on just a second because, when you don't send the link to everybody, then that creates a bit of an issue. Okay, so nothing like not sending it to everybody. That's good. Good work by me. Morning, Alex. Morning, Pars. Okay. Biggest stuff that is around has to do, obviously, with the transfers that exist and the transfer ideas that exist. I'll start with one that actually did happen last night. And apparently, we actually do have an ending to the Duncan Maguire saga. I know. It's shocking. We have an end to the Duncan Maguire saga. And it is that Duncan Maguire actually will be going nowhere. He's going to stay. All the talk over the last year plus about Duncan Maguire and Blackpool and everything. So during Leagues Cup last night, actually, toward the tail end of Leagues Cup After Dark, you have news, Duncan Maguire reaching an agreement on a new long-term contract, deal through 27 with an option for 28. The saga is over with Duncan Maguire. And so at the end of it all, more than a year of dancing results in Duncan Maguire not going anywhere. So he stays in Orlando. Because remember all of the initial thoughts about Maguire and Blackpool and interest and him flying over to actually lie in wait to make sure that a contract was there, an agreement was there, but then it wasn't. So you had all of the chaos attached to Duncan McGuire. The transfer saga is over involving Blackpool. So it's a long-term deal, and he stays at the end of all of it. Because remember, here's how it was. Back in February, he was supposed to go to Blackburn Rovers. Deal fell through because of an administrative error, and he was there when it happened. Blackburn hit the wrong button when processing his transfer paperwork. So I guess technically this is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com as I go sideways here. That's your QR code for those of you who are hanging out, watching however you're accessing us this morning, either on the YouTubes, the Twitch, or the 280-character app. Don't forget, you click on that QR code. Then when you check out at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, you end up with using the code SOCCERDOWNHERE15. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10% reinvested in youth initiatives, youth programs that they have earmarked as cool, quoting our buddy Carlito. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. We'll get to our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps in a sec. So Duncan McGuire was supposed to go to Blackburn Rovers. He was there. He was in Blackburn in a hotel waiting. Blackburn hit the wrong button processing his transfer paperwork. So then he had to come back. All the anticipation. Duncan McGuire transferred to Blackburn. Everybody in Orlando's thinking, cool, we get money out of the deal. Then you didn't because Blackburn hit the wrong button. So then he goes back to Orlando City, and he goes into a situation where they had signed Luis Muriel because they were anticipating that Duncan McGuire was going to be with Blackburn Rovers. And so it ends up being a logjam. He was still 7 goals, 17 starts. And so now at the end of it all, he ends up with a new deal. Don't know if it's a DP deal, but with the deal expiring in either 27 or 28, then you've got Duncan McGuire hanging out with the purple team. Muriel, 3 goals in 24 matches. Maybe Duncan McGuire is getting his old job back. So the long international saga involving hitting the wrong button. Supposed to join on an initial loan with an option to buy. 2 clubs initially agreed to a $4 million permanent deal. Transfer canceled mid-flight from Orlando's training camp in Mexico. He goes over. Then they try to redo it while he's sitting in the hotel. All of the paperwork had been completed in the Blackburn statement at the time, back in February. Completed prior to 10 p.m. on Thursday, 1 February. However, due to an administrative error, the forms were not processed within the prescribed time. Blackburn thought they had clicked submit paperwork on the EFL's transfer system before the deadline, but had hit save, according to The Athletic. Blackburn submitted an appeal to the EFL. And the EFL was kind of like, not so much. So Duncan McGuire was in a hotel in the UK trying to figure out at the time if save could be changed into submit and or send. And the answer from the EFL was no. So then McGuire goes back. He's hanging out. He ends up with the logjam with Luis Muriel. And then you end up with chaos. And now Duncan McGuire is outperforming Luis Muriel, and Duncan McGuire now gets a new contract, so you don't have to. Now, I wonder if Orlando City made sure that they hit send. Not save, but send. Did they hit send and or save? I'm guessing because of the announcement of the contract to 27, I'm guessing they did. Because I'm guessing it's an internal thing. It's an internal email. You hit reply all inside the office of the purple team. We've signed Duncan McGuire. He's not going anywhere. See, we know how to use our email system. So that's the end of the Duncan McGuire saga for now. He's staying after all the chaos of the last 6 months. That's opening kickoff. Brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code. For those of you who are watching, however you're watching us this morning, YouTube, Twitch, 280 character app. Don't forget, use the code soccer down here 15 when you check out. You get 15% off your purchase. They in turn take 10%, reinvested in youth games, youth initiatives, stuff that they have earmarked as cool. Quoting our buddy Carlito. Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right. I filibustered past 9:15 and I apologize. I guess because I came on at 9:06, that's where my clock is. I'm a minute off. So yay me. And so, of course, we know what this means. After opening kickoff on a Walpassian Wednesday, that means we bring in our buddy Tyler. And check the lighting. Check the lighting. It looks like the iris has been opened up a little bit. It looks like a little brighter there, Tyler.
Yeah. I think the angle of my light's just a little different today.
Okay.
Maybe it's better.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean that's how it rolls. So our friends at the Purple team, they apparently decided to just handle it internally and hit reply all and save and send. And so Duncan McGuire doesn't have to worry about all the chaos of Blackburn Rovers anymore. He's hanging out till 27-28 because I guess Orlando City figured out their own email system and learned from their friends at Blackburn to hit save and then hit submit and then reply all to make sure that Duncan McGuire stays over the next handful of seasons.
That has been like a roller coaster of emotions for Duncan McGuire. That's wild. You know, like I remember, obviously we all remember in the transfer window where it was just like that. Was it like an Allstate commercial or whatever it was? Affleck with the dollar bill and the fishing pole. You know, he's like, yeah, so close, so close. Like you're on a plane, you're on your way over there.
Gotcha.
So bad, man. The thing is, from Orlando's perspective, like if you got rid of Duncan McGuire, you know, it's not like he's great. Like especially coming out of college, he's been great for the team. But you get rid of Duncan McGuire and you don't have a ton to offer as far as, you know, that bigger guy up top or that kind of target forward. So you almost have to keep him. It makes sense to keep him. And especially if the Blackburn Rovers deal just doesn't make sense anymore from a financial perspective or whatever, like, you know, I think common sense has to prevail here, and also not putting this poor kid back through the ringer that he had to go through a few months ago. So.
Yeah. So they just decided we're just going to handle this ourselves. We're gonna hang tight. We're gonna sit there and it's on us. It's on us. We're good. It's all there. So Duncan McGuire stays. What I kind of did transfer news in the beginning for opening kickoff. Have you ever spent as much time as I'm sure we all have over the last X number of hours trying to research an Uzbeki center forward?
No. No, not even kind of. But I'm in the boat, though. I'm in the boat.
What was you're talking Barco again? What?
No, whoa, no. Hey, I like that. That was good, though.
Barco boat. Yeah, hey, you know, that's where we were. So yesterday we kind of walked through his history, his MO, what he brings to the table, and the fact that he wore number 61 and had the first name on the back of the jersey. We don't have any kind of an update this morning, but the Palace intrigue continues with everything finishing today. So you got to get whatever you're getting done. If you're in Major League Soccer, you got to get it done today, or it ain't going to get done unless it's a free and you're looking at even Perisic or something like that. Oh, it's a free, and we'll go over here. So no updating updates, but it's an interesting chase to go after someone in Serie A who at 6'3" has spent time on the left, not a lot, but he has been known to be on either wing, but has spent most of his time up the middle, and it brings another idea to the table possibly for Atlanta United that we have to keep an eye on.
I think it's always beneficial to have those guys that, you know, you don't need a jack of all trades, right? But you need a guy that is adaptable and somebody that can play. Everybody is going to have a primary position, right? Like that's just how it is. But having a guy knowing the left wing as it stands right now, we've had the discussion on here, on our show, everywhere. Like the left wing right now just needs help. It does. And if Daniel Rios and Jamal Tiare are both guys that are giving you something, but the left wing is not, and you bring in a guy that's 6'3" and he can actually maybe give you something on that left wing, then you find a way to get them all on the field at the same time. You add in Miranchuk, and you've got maybe an entirely new set of goal scoring fiends up top. And is that why they're primarily bringing him in? I don't think so. If it does go forward, because at the end of the day, Atlanta is always going to be looking for that guy up top that's just a consistent goal scorer. Is Eldor the guy? I don't know, but we'll see. And the other thing I would really quick caution everybody is just that if you don't hear any news today, that doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Recently we've seen with Atlanta United and many other teams where, deadline day happens and you're like, dang, the window's closed. And then the next morning you get an announcement. So that's the only thing I'll say. I know people are just like jonesing for something, but just be a little more patient, just a little bit longer.
Jared, are you jonesing for something?
Oof. I guess the window to be done at this point.
Wow.
Well, no, here's the thing, man. Like, we are we are watching in real time what I say, and I said this during the last window of like, look, nothing's official until the dude is standing there holding up the shirt and people are snapping pictures and flashbulbs are going off. Go look at Charlotte. The same deal falls through.
That's next.
Now, I have questions about how realistic the Miguel Almiron thing was, because like you can throw down the money. I've seen like 2 reports of was it a dispute with Almiron or his agent, or was it a dispute with the total fee for the club? I don't know, but I'm not sure how realistic that one ever was, just because it was going to cost you a lot of money up front and probably insane wages.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, their window turned real damn quick.
Yes.
And this thing is like everybody was absolutely losing their minds over the Charlotte window, and now it just looks like a window. And they might go try and grab somebody. The thing, and to Tyler's point, is like not every team negotiates through the media and through um, the Fabrizio Romanos of the world, which, let's be honest, and Bob is a S tier source,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of similar to the Wojs of the world or the Field Yateses of the world, where agents and teams can leak things that they want to leak to move stories in a direction publicly. That's just how business is done. It's not good or bad. It's not right or wrong necessarily. It's just how business is done. But like, you might not hear everything. Remember the Luis Araujo thing? And I know it strikes up bad memories for some people. Whatever, I don't really care. That one just kind of popped out of nowhere. Your Uzbekistan, the move kind of popped out of nowhere. Some teams like to do hashtag team no leaks. That's just the way you operate. We've seen RSL do it lately. Charlotte do it with Stanks. We didn't hear about that one until they thought they were damn near across the line with it. So just get me through the window. Atlanta's got another VP spot to play with in the winter. You need to pull out the most effective railgun you have in that winter window, I think, though, because I mean, look, you're grouped out of Leagues Cup now. You're just watching the chaos of Leagues Cup. But what you're dealing with now is like you're rushing through the visa for Moranchuk, and then you're seeing what you get across the line. And one of the problems with waiting this late in the window to get it done is you still have to wait for visa processes for whoever it might be. So it might be another 2 plus, maybe 3+ weeks before it gets fully across the line, and where they're in uniform playing, getting up to speed. And it's one of those things you wanted it done earlier in the window, but what you want and what happens are not always the same thing.
And Jared has basically gone through our entire rundown of the show this morning, where it's at Eldor. And by the way, there are 280 character reports on Eldor. Training at AS Roma, all in the group except Eldor, who worked separately, probably due to an increasingly imminent transfer. Solbakken absent, will go today in Empoli for medical visits and signatures. So it appears that Eldor might have been training to the side when it comes to the AS Roma practice of the day. And so it is a race in trying to figure out it, getting to, deadline number one. Would it happen? Then, what else goes on? But traditionally, Atlanta United has been a club that is team no leaks. It's like, look, we find out from the outside in. It is not something, Tyler, where it's the inside out, because that's not how you negotiate and negotiate successfully at the end of the day.
Yeah, and we've talked about how Atlanta is multiple times. And to Jarrett's point, like you're going to have some teams that maybe are a little more lax on the way that they allow maybe information to flow. Atlanta's not one of those teams. And I understand probably more than anybody, the just desire to have something to hold on to, because I think at this point the team just needs something. Like in Charlotte's case, I mean, they're not having a terrible season. They're having an average, pretty decent, maybe slightly above average, better than they have before season. And so their fan base is not quite as irritated and frustrated as Atlanta United's right now for a variety of reasons. You just keep hoping that there was that big thing to hold on to. But then it's also worth remembering, like, you did get a guy who, though Atlanta fans haven't seen him yet, he hasn't proven himself to them. He comes with a lot of advertisement in a good way, right? So it's not that the entire window is just a bust. I think it's just everybody is just holding on to, trying to hold on to something. And whether or not this deal happens, or maybe there's another one again that we don't know about, that may be one of those, 12th hour type deals that we hear about tomorrow or something. I don't know, but that's just the team that you're a fan of right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just how they operate.
We could let's get into the Miguel Almiron stuff, shall we?
Let's do that.
But so to that point, man, like, that's, I know, to Amelia's point, the idea of like Charlotte, trying big things. I think Atlanta tried their big swings with Stephen Bergwijn.
Right.
There were a couple other rumors of an MLS team came after so and so for like a $15 million move, and we're told no. I think Atlanta swung big. They just didn't hit anything, which sucks, because you do want to bring in that talent, but you also have to find that line between bringing in the big talent that can make a difference and spending $15 million just to spend $15 million. And it's a tough line to balance. Like, I think Maranchuk will be fine here. I think he can be very good. Do you get this other deal across the line? I don't know. Can play a number of spots up top. Can he be a difference maker? I don't know. But yeah, you got to find that balance between spending a bunch of money just to do it and finding guys who can make a difference, whether they cost $5 or $15 million.
Right.
Also, shout out to Philadelphia, by the way, for I know they've already got the replacement in house, but Jose Martinez going to Brazil is gonna. I think I don't know where Rich is when I need him, but I saw for a minute, because Jose Martinez is the heart and soul of that shithousery that Philadelphia knows so well.
See, 24 minutes in. Okay, cool. Yep, 24 minutes in for the explicit rating. Well earned as always.
Absolutely.
Charlotte, Jarrett, to your point, Charlotte went from having a possible window, a successful window, all caps, italicized, boldface font, quotation marks, all of that, to just being a conversation piece. And, obviously, we can look at Miguel Almiron, and it appears that there was, we talked about it yesterday, and I kind of wondered just how it all kind of works. Are Are you the guy that comes into the subdivision where the sign says no soliciting? You go wandering into the subdivision, you knock on the door, and the folks are at Newcastle. They're looking through the peephole, and they're going, "Really? Okay." They didn't read the sign when they walked in. It's like you open the door, you answer the door. Yeah. Hey, what about Miguel Almiron? And then Newcastle has to kind of put up with the conversation. And as it turned out, some sources were saying that the initial offer, and this was almost instantly poo-pooed by Lee Ryder of the Newcastle Chronicle. Apparently, the paltry offer that Lee Ryder referred to, Charlotte apparently came to the table with $10 million as their initial offer. And Newcastle, you would think, was looking for something a lot closer to, say, 20. And then the whole thing just kind of went, it was not going to happen. And then it gets even more interesting with Stings and trying to bring him in. And it ends up there being, well, we see something, meaning Charlotte, and I'm going to go to Mike Verwei's social media just to break it all down and how it appeared through the eyes of Mike, who works at the Telegraph. Looks like Bergwijn might be meeting with Panathinaikos. So Calvin Stings, the way that it apparently fell down is that it ended up Stings pulls the plug on the whole thing. And it was one of those where Charlotte had an issue and they were thinking, okay, let's take a peek at it. And then Calvin Stings was like, nope, not leaving. Too much uprooting, not happening, not going to do it. And so Charlotte goes from chasing after Calvin Stings at Feyenoord and possibly Miguel Almiron at Newcastle to just kind of sitting there and us talking about things that didn't happen.
They might get one across the line before we're done, and maybe it'd be an amazing move. Totally possible.
True.
But, it's been a 4 days.
Yes, it has. Apparently, giving Stings a medical. Then they were kind of like, well, can we get a cut rate deal because we see some things? And then they were like, well, no, you can't. And it seems like it seems almost like the folks up 85 wanted to, Tyler, kind of go with Dollar Tree here. And they kind of take the Dollar Tree approach to try to get folks. And it's like, well, the car's got a bit of a ding. It's got some, it looks like somebody keyed some of the paint here. And can we take a little off there? Can we do this and do this? That's where Charlotte seems to be so far with what they're doing here in the window.
I mean, you got to shoot your shot, right?
True. Yeah, that is true.
I'm not mad at them for trying. I mean, it would have been a massive knife to the heart for any Atlanta United fan, but it's business, right? Like it's and do I think that, like, I've seen some people that are like, oh, well, they're just doing this because of Atlanta. I mean, no, any team with any kind of brain would love to have a guy like that on their team, period. You'd be crazy if you didn't. But I think a lot of the silly season transfer window stuff that we see, there's a lot of times there is a kernel of truth to it. And
yeah, absolutely.
You got to go out. I'm sure Atlanta in the same sense has probably sent offers to some players that we would be like, what? But hey, if it happens, let's go. But
exactly.
the realistic, the possibilities of it actually happening are probably very slim to none. Well, this is one of those that I think, not that it was just like completely out of left field, because, Miguel Almiron is a guy that could go to most leagues in the world, but there's something to be said about going somewhere where you are at least somewhat familiar. And if the pay is right, why not? So I don't think it was a wild one. It was slightly less than wild, but you got to give credit to Charlotte for trying.
No doubt. As we look through this, I mean, that's the beauty, Jared, of silly season, is that you're in a dynamic where you're going to go ahead and shoot your shot. LAFC, they're going to shoot their shot. They bring in the most handsome man in Major League Soccer. They're going to keep adding folks. LAG gets Marco Royce. They're bringing him in after paying the dibs fee to Charlotte. So Charlotte got $350,000 richer. And, everybody's linking everyone to Messi and friends. I've even seen stuff out there, and like I said, I got to check the number of sources and followers on 280 character app where Juve, Weston McKennie and Sergi Roberto. I mean, literally, it's like fantasy football, FUTBOL at times. But that's the beauty of these kind of windows, is that it turns into fantasy football, Jarrett, when you're staring at names and places and openings this time of year.
Yeah, it is, and it's nice for us to see, because like it's nice to have the ideas, because like the idea being, if they're listening on Miguel Almiron, could pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because Atlanta needs a win on and off the field, man.
Yeah, they do.
And you need someone who you would end up with if you just went and YOLO'd it and went to Newcastle, like, hey, we got an open DT spot. I heard you were talking to Charlie. What was the negotiation like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that number. Oh, okay, what was his number? Okay,
mm-hmm.
Well, we know he can do it. Okay, yeah, let's talk. Because it would give you someone who has proven, that he can do the job in this league,
mm-hmm.
and be a hell of a PR win for the club, frankly.
Yeah,
love to see
something to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would be interested, and I don't know how much of an answer we get on this. I'd love to know where they shot and missed, because every now and then we get those sorts of things from little tidbits of like, this club reached out to this player, and that player either wasn't interested or the selling club wasn't interested. Like, oh wow, so and so like really took a big swing and it didn't work. So you're trying to take big swings, but some things eventually got to land, other than my untruth or the possible new signing, kind of sort of maybe possibly might happen.
Yes.
So we got the rest of the day. I'm sure there will be dumb things that happen, in the sense of you can always, we see this in other sports. I know soccer transfers being more complicated, but we do see it in other sports where it's like, 5 p.m. in the afternoon, you pick up the phone and you can make happen. You see who's available for what. You see not just as a buyer what's available. You see someone as a seller who's going into the end of their window going, hey, we're about to lose the MLS window as a place where we can potentially sell a player. So we need to go ahead and see if anybody there wants to take part in a deal in one of these guys. And you've got to find a deal sometimes. So selling urgency is just as important, I think. But man, let's get through the day. Let's see what it looks like. The winter window shapes up to be very interesting as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a tricky, different window, because with the winter window, you're in the middle of a European season. Like, if you want to go hunting in South America, fine. But if you want to go hunting in Europe, you're in the middle of the season there, and it can be a little trickier. It can be guys who have fallen out of favor halfway through the season. It can, it can be, guys who are deemed surplus because of a big winter move, but it's a different thing because your schedules are so flipped. So I have no idea what that will look like. Getting way out over our skis, even thinking about the winter window right now, you settle in with your 10 and you see what you can just kind of grind the pace here for the last stretch.
Yep. So as things have gone on over there at Scarves and Spikes, what you guys have a poll up? You've wasted zero time this morning in putting a poll up about whether or not Eldor gets signed by the end of the window. See, I was looking at the 280 character app. I saw the poll that you posted on Scarves and Spikes. When you guys are having your PM show and the discussions that you guys have on your version of the Twitch pitch, what are folks talking about more than anything? And what have they talked about since Atlanta United was eliminated in Leagues Cup? What are the main talking points that the fans bring to you and the rest of the guys over at SNS when you guys have your evening show?
Where are the signings? That's mostly it. Why are we not having rumors?
Mm-hmm.
The summer transfer window is the easier of the two.
Yeah.
Right. There is impatience, which is understandable. I'm not saying that necessarily in a bad way. I mean, I get it. People, like we've all said, like I said, like Jarrett was just saying, like people need something to hold on to. They need a win off the field. You're not winning on the field right now because you're out of Leagues Cup. So,
Right.
I think everybody at the end of Leagues Cup for Atlanta kind of at least held on to that because they've been kind of apathetic. They were holding on to that, well, at least we have a couple weeks left of the summer transfer window and maybe we'll get some good news so that we can be excited going into these last 9 games of the MLS season. And unfortunately, that just hasn't happened. And, I'll say, I think it would be silly, as painful as it might be in the short term. I think it would be silly to go and try to force a signing just to force a signing that's not going to fit. I don't think that's proper use of money, even though you do have, whatever, $35 million of it. Still, it's still not being a good steward of the money. And now the time sucks because then you have to wait until the winter to try to make something happen. And it's not that the winter transfer window is a bust. And this is kind of what other people have been talking about with us as well. You can get plenty of good talent in the winter for MLS. It's just, you're not going to probably see as many big splashy signings as you would see in the summer just because of the way the schedules and the calendars are laid out. So I think it's very similar to kind of what everybody is saying in the Twitch pitch here, kind of what you're seeing on, line, but it's just a feeling, I think, of frustration, maybe no urgency is what it feels like. And just, again, a little bit of apathy because people are just kind of tired of watching the team not play well.
Yep. In looking at the latest stuff as we've been discussing the transfer window and familiar names. Okay, so the number 10 search talks currently inactive. Charlotte had agreed on personal terms, never had a verbal agreement with Newcastle. So that comes from Tommy Scoops over at GMS, Gimme Sports. So that's his latest update. Newcastle wanted upwards of 20. Charlotte bid an initial 10. 2 clubs couldn't find common ground, barring a last-minute change of heart from either. Talks inactive. Clubs never reached an agreement. Charlotte working on potentially bringing in a player on loan before the window closes. Sources say won't be of the same profile as Almiron. Paraguayan international would have immediately been one of the best players in the league. Yes, yes, yes. Charlotte Calvin Stings. We talked about Calvin Stings. Prior to those deals, Charlotte worked to sign Giovanni Lo Celso. We talked about that yesterday, but the player couldn't commit before seeing what options might be on the table at the end of the transfer window. And so Lo Celso, Stings, Almiron. You brought in Tim Ream, and you've re-brought in Karl Świderski following a loan to Hellas Verona and signed young Israeli forward Idan Toklamati, who is, once again, that's another search engine that you're going to have to figure out. So, but no, I mean, but that's the thing is that you've got front offices that have their systems, they have their analysis, they have their contacts. And so this time of year in transfer windows, don't be shocked if you hear a name from a location that isn't, top of mind when it comes to your viewing habits. I think that's the other thing is that as the game continues to grow here in the United States, the windows of looking for talent open up as well. And, that way that, God bless your scouting systems, your recruiting programs, all of, God bless Huddle, basically, with what you're staring at these days. Just don't be surprised if you hear names from unfamiliar places. That's the beauty of this as the game continues to go.
But you got to balance this shit. You do. Like, I get that you're looking for guys that fit a specific profile when you're crunching numbers, but you also got to trust your eye test to an extent.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to be able to find that balance of living your life like you are like your Tampa Bay or the Dodgers, but also trusting your eyes in getting someone who can be a some bitch at times.
Yeah.
And you got to find that balance. It's tough. Tough
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Because, yeah, I mean, ultimately, my feeling on it is personally, like, yeah, I wanted to see more in this window. Like, I think Maranchuk is a good signing. I think he can be very good here. I think all of his, you look at his underlying numbers, which, look, for the last 2 years, that's all I've heard from people, is wanting more of a push in the analytics direction and finding those guys who can come in and just do the job. I think he can fit that. And playing at Atalanta ain't nothing to sneeze at. They've been they've been like an attacking steamroller
Mm-hmm.
for the last few years. But yeah, I mean, personally, I was hoping to see another big splash, and I think they worked on it. You get the sense from some of the rumors that they tried to go big and didn't necessarily land it. If you do, by the way, the new player you're linked to was once referred to as the Uzbeki Messi.
Yes.
And that's my favorite thing in the world now. But if it is like a $5 million deal kind of thing,
yeah,
that's also in the range of potentially being bought down in the future too. So that's not terrible in the sense that you can, however you want to balance that. If that's the thing, and if it's $5 million, you can potentially buy it down and get him out of a DP spot in the future too. So I think it does give you some flexibility. And if you're not going to hammer home a, an 8-figure move, then at least do one where kind of like the Saba move, where yes, it's a DP, but it's a DP that you will eventually have the potential to buy down to free up a spot so you can hammer that 8-figure move. Go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to bring Turner's question in for Tyler to start things off. Turner says, do you think the amount of money that Atlanta United said they had to spend coming out hurt the club's leverage? If I'm a club and I know you have more money than what you're asking, I'm going to keep pushing the bar higher.
I mean, I think that's definitely – I think you'd be silly to think that it didn't because, again, all this is a business. These are all negotiations. These are all essentially used car salesmen fighting each other at times. And
so if a guy comes in looking like Ric Flair in the 1980s, and you've got Tony Schiavone and David Crockett who are trying to sell the car to you. Hey, look at that guy. He's got alligator shoes and the fanciest belt, and he lives in the biggest house in the big side of town. You're going to try to sit there and go, but you want this package.
Yeah. I mean, the wheeling, dealing, profile. Yeah. It's out there, right? It was very public. And there's really no way to not make it public because even if it wasn't shouted from the rooftops, like you still see the reports.
Folks can do math.
Yeah, right. Like it's going to come out that like, wow, let's go back and look at Atlanta over the past year, and we can see kind of how much profit they made on the players that they moved on from. And so I think couple that with a front office now that is trying to be a little more I don't want to say this word again, pragmatic. Pragmatic's really not the best word for this, in the good way. But that's trying to be a little more, I think, financially
prudent.
Yeah, prudent's good. That's good.
Okay.
You're not going to go and just see them go from like we offered 10, but that's not what they wanted. So let's jump to 20 or 25. Like, I think they kind of have set like a hard line and said, all right, well, if you're not okay with what we've offered, then we got to back out. And that's okay. It may be disappointing at times, but I think there is something to say for a team that's like, no, that player is the one that we need. That player is the one that we know is going to be a game changer because both of the statistics, analytics, and the eye test, like Jarrett talked about, it all passes, and we're going to go get them. And now if you go and you give a big offer and there's still like, no, okay, then you back out, you do what you got to do. But yes, I do think having that treasure trove, of gold and Scrooge McDuck swimming through it is absolutely
look at that money,
Yeah.
You're swimming around like Cartman in the singles. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and everybody knows it.
And to a number of the questions here, in that after tonight closes, where the attention shift is absolutely worth talking about, and that's the manager.
Mm-hmm.
Because once tonight's done, once this window is done, by the way, Orlando's closing in on a U22. Again, just out of freaking nowhere. These things could just pop up like whack-a-moles from hell.
True.
But now, after tonight, you shift your attention to management. You get through the summer window, then you start looking at who you want to bring in. I know there was I think it was 99 Fan TV had it. I apologize if I'm misattributing. But I think it was them who had the Patrick Vieira rumor that
right.
that Atlanta was at least interested in talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
I personally am still a member of the Church of Gio Savarese.
Mm-hmm.
Card-carrying member from his New York Cosmos days.
Yes.
So if we want to go, and I think he checks all the boxes, in that he does have an MLS experience. He's had success. He's frankly had success with a club that spends less money.
Yeah.
And if he wants the project, I would love to talk to him about it. Vieira would be an interesting one, in the sense that New York spent money in those early years, but they didn't necessarily spend it well. Like, it was David Villa, and then the traffic cone, formerly known as Andrea Pirlo. That was just weird, man. But he had them on the upswing before he left, and it didn't work in Europe. But yeah, that's where our attention does have to shift to next. Like, yeah, we're gonna have like a little bit of a break before they get back to league play, which is a consequence of getting grouped by redacted Santos.
Yes.
In just an embarrassing game, call it what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the manager search is going to be like it's not going to be like more or less drunk. It's just going to be like a different kind of drunk. Like,
you went from the big beer to the hard liquor, basically.
Yeah, you're going from a different kind of inebriated, like, where
this might be tequila at this point.
Yeah, are you doing this on cheap beer? Or are you doing this on liquor? Is it cheap? Is it good? It's just going to be a different kind of inebriation. It's going to change the way the world moves when you're that inebriated, and it's also going to change how you feel in the morning. We'll see.
Yeah. Another couple of pieces here from the NY Times / The Athletic. Josh Sargent to all caps is still just about possible. There's a discussion there of 8 figures from Norwich. And they're also Greg O'Keefe is also saying McKinney to Messi and friends, less so. So, but yeah, Josh Sargent
all caps spending money after you fired the coach who took you top of the West when you didn't spend a damn dime for him, and now you're spending money is a Joker origin story waiting to happen.
Yeah,
good on you for actually spending some money, SKC. All caps. But man, like, you just fired a coach mid-year after he worked magic last year and didn't work the same magic this year on basically like a super small budget. Man, this is how Jokers get made.
Yeah, and you wonder what Bradley Carnell might be thinking in this situation. Is he hanging out, sitting there, cursing the land that he used to walk on, and that kind of a thing. Reggie Cannon is also a name that O'Keefe has put out there, considering all of the issues and the contract dispute and the legal case that he apparently lost to Boa Vista. And so now he owes Boa Vista like $1.8 million US after losing a court case. Thomas Roberts is being mentioned. He's at Staubach right now, being managed by Bob Bradley. And we mentioned Duncan McGuire. So there are a couple of other names out there for today. But yeah, Greg O'Keefe mentioning Josh Sargent as a part of what could be happening as everyone's rushing to hear the Big Ben chimes come late tonight. Tyler, what's going on at SNS? What's the latest? As I get my morning coughing fit out of the way and figure out what's going on. Look, I'm just going to say this: the yearly screw up of my colds finally happened. I thought I escaped it in February and March, and instead it happened in August back to back. And so then I had to go see my ENT, and then the ENT, that's when they take the whole lighted the lightsaber and they stick it down your throat, and they sit there and go, well, there's nothing wrong, but here, try, do this. And so that's why I'm navigating that right now. But what's going on at SNS that folks need to know about?
I totally get it. No show tonight. Let me put a comma there. There is a show tonight. I know it sounds like
there is a show tonight. Period.
No, I get it. There is a show tonight. We'll have the show tonight. We'll have trying to stay on top of whatever rumors / not rumors come out today with whatever changes may be happening to Atlanta United's roster, and and just the normal moving forward and covering the team as they come out of this window, whatever that may be.
So the normal covering a team on the last day of a transfer window as we monitor everything about players practicing on the side at Roma that are being mentioned, that could be mentioned, could be happening, could not be happening. And so you guys get to be the race to the deadline is basically what you're saying for all the names that we've been talking about.
Yeah, we will have my alarm clocks up here.
Yes.
It's going to look like the stock market at, 8:00 at night or whatever that we're going to have going on. So
fantastic.
We'll see how the day closes out. I don't know.
No doubt about it. Tyler, as always, my friend, it's great to see you. Oh, what's in the mug this morning? Silly me. I forgot to ask what the mug is and what's in it.
Well, the mug is the normal, the normal scarves and spikes, faces, all that good stuff. But we ran out of milk, and so I had to use soy milk.
No, you went to okay. So you went soy milk instead of tequila this morning.
Yeah, I could have done tequila as well, but no, it's soy milk, and it's different, a little different.
Yes.
A little different flavor, kind of like how the club is going right now, which is fine. But just got to get used to it.
No doubt. As always, my friend, great to see you. And I know that you're on your second cup of soy milk added coffee. My apologies. My thoughts and prayers. That's $1 in the jar. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Thanks for dropping by as you always do.
Thank you. See y'all.
All right. That's Tyler. We've got Kim Shelton, the CEO of Lexington SC, dropping by at 10:30 to discuss what happened yesterday. And now it'll be, as it's being promoted, a different kind of Kentucky. Now it's, I guess, a Kentucky Derby that's going to be happening starting.
I mean, it's the easiest name for it, yeah.
Yes, the Kentucky Derby.
The city in Lexington and just the Kentucky Derby.
Yes. And so Kim Shelton, the CEO of Lex SC, is going to be joining us. And thanks to Dan Kett for doing all of the
God, if y'all do not like bronze out a trophy of a random horse and carry that thing across the field like it is the old oaken bucket, I'm going to be so disappointed in everyone in the state of Kentucky, more so than I am on a daily basis.
Yeah, so we'll catch up with Kim and find out what's going on, what the rub is, and everything. Yes,
even better, it's just like an old Jared Lorenzen jersey.
Oh. The round mound of touchdown.
The hefty lefty himself. R.I.P., buddy.
See.
One of the most fun quarterbacks in SEC history.
Yes. So we're going to be joined by, like I said, Kim Shelton, the CEO of Lexington, of Lex SC, is going to be joining us at 10:30 because it's busy times. In addition to Kentucky Derby now being active starting next season, it is the season in USL League One. You're building the facility, the massive facility that was planned with stadium, multiple fields, growing the game. You've got Super League coming up this weekend for Lex SC. So it's like 9,000 topics to get into with Kim Shelton, the CEO of Lex SC. And Kim's going to be joining us at 10:30 to discuss all of it. Kentucky Derby, make it happen. But yeah, you've got to have either a Jared Lorenzen bust or a bronzed insert horse here as your trophy.
Like a shoe horse that belonged to Secretariat.
Oh, see, now that would be epic. David says the Kentucky Derby played at School Valley Downs with a question mark. So, but yeah, it'll be fun to get into the discussion coming up at 10:30 and find out what's going on.
Clear out the infield of Churchill Downs and play it there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, wait a second. I got to write.
I don't know how you could do that. I
that's
don't know
fantastic.
about it.
Hang on.
I got a friend of mine who works for Churchill Downs. I'm gonna ask him. He doesn't work for. I don't think for the course. I think he works for the corporation. But I'm gonna ask him
Writing this
like, hey,
down.
what if what if you just played it at Churchill Downs? You cleaned out the infield for a couple weeks.
Oh man. Oh, that's fantastic. See, I have to write that down.
Look, we're already getting a baseball game at Bristol Motor Speedway.
No.
Yeah, I told you about this, right? Or you read about this, right?
Yeah, but I want to
Yeah.
know how they're going to squeeze the thing in there. Is it going to look like the Dodgers when they played at the LA at the Mausoleum, where it was like 289 down the left field line or something? How's it? And it's going to be like
The
500
infield.
feet to right center.
Here's the thing, though. Even on the smallest track in NASCAR, if you clear out the infield, it's big enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like even those half-mile tracks are wide enough on the
Yeah.
infield. Now the question is, oh, David says it's plenty big. It's plenty big enough. There's perfect. Perfect. Yeah, just clear out Churchill Downs. Do that. You're going to clear out the infield for Bristol to play that. To play a baseball game, which is going to be weird because what are you going to do? Sit in the grandstands and watch? You're going to need a telescope. I say that as someone who, man, I might drive up, might stop through Middle Tennessee and visit family, grab some barbecue on the way or something. I don't know.
See.
Like I gotta go through. I'd have to like. I have to go back through Woodbury and see everybody first, I guess. But yeah, like I'll probably go to that one. But you can like do this at other stuff too. Like get weird. Like I know they were trying to resurrect the Lady in Black Darlington.
Mm-hmm.
Do something there. Like play a game at Martinsville.
Oh, see now you could. I mean, if you did say
yeah, they played football. That's true. They played football in there. Yeah.
if you did say South Carolina and Clemson soccer, and you did it at Darlington, something like that.
Yeah, you could do the football game there. You could if you did the Clemson South Carolina game at Darlington.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
if you played like Duke North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
There's something up in North Carolina, do like a Tobacco Road up there.
Oh,
Be fine. I like that we're just getting weirder and weirder with all of these things, but no, I agree with Derek. Sitting 1,200 feet away from home plate doesn't sound great.
no.
Like everybody's going to be sitting there with binoculars trying to see. I don't know. Like, man, God bless him for what he did in 2021. But like, if Adam Duvall's here next year and just flailing around going 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts next year, I'm not driving to Bristol to watch Adam Duvall do that.
No. We are in hour number 2, and before
went and got Randy Arozarena.
Yes. See, oh man, I can't believe the Rays traded Randy Arozarena.
Randy Arozarena is flashing like 3.45 right now for Seattle. Like Seattle's flailing, but it ain't his fault. That dude's hitting over 300. It's slugging over 500.
Nope. All right, Leagues Cup, and because we got to get this in, we got to get in all the discussions about everything else before Kim joins us at 10:30. It was the last day of the round of 16 in Leagues Cup. We got our Leagues Cup after dark. I mean, it was one of those where you're going, what kind of matches are we going to have? And we got Leagues Cup after dark. We now know the final 8. And when our buddy Nico Moreno joins us tomorrow at 10:30, we'll discuss Seattle being in the final 8. But last night, and I legitimately I tell folks, Jared, and you know this. I tell folks that when I give an opinion on a match, go the exact opposite direction. If I think that something's going to be a low-scoring game, it's going to end up being like a 9-goal thriller. Philly and Cincinnati, where you figured it was going to be a rock fight in a phone booth, ended up at 4-2.
The Union are still in the stupid tournament. The Union are not going to leave. The Union are actually doing what I hoped that San Jose would be, which is that team that struggles in the regular season that just decides to catch fire in the tournament. San Jose was that for a minute, and then they just got sandblasted last night
Correct.
by LAFC.
Yeah, we'll get
That was 1-1 for a minute. I thought we were going to get a classic San Jose bites LAFC on the ankle game, but LAFC said no. But yeah, man, Philly, even with Brujo leaving to go to Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
again, this is more Rich's territory, but like,
yeah, Rich goes, the Union are still in this stupid tournament.
But you have you have to go play a professional football game in Brazil next month.
Oh yeah.
We're sending the Eagles to Brazil, and now a Brazilian team came for Brujo.
And you're playing in a building.
There's going to be a vendetta against the country of Brazil eventually by the Philadelphia Eagles and Union fans.
Well, and the thing is that the stadium that they're playing in hates the color green.
Yeah. But how do they feel about Kelly green? Because it's a different shade of green. I know. In the same sense of like when we say, if someone says like, oh, I hate orange. Well, do you mean Tennessee orange? Do you mean Texas burnt orange?
Miami
orange? Do you mean that Florida Gators like tangerine? Like how do you like when you say we can't wear that color? Like, well, sports when it comes down to it is basically a giant fashion show mixed in with some violence.
Yes.
So which shade of green is your problem?
A violent fashion show. I like that. So it ends up being a 4-2 thriller. And get this. Philly had a 2-0 lead. Ua and Ty Barabo, who apparently has found his scoring shoes in non-MLS competitions, made it 2-0. Buka scores to make it 2-1. Then it's tied at 2 when Yedlin scores in the 80th minute. So 10 minutes to go, and it's tied at 2. Then Barabo scores to get his brace in the 81st. Quinn Sullivan scores in the 84th. Philly scored 4. I cannot remember the last time Philadelphia scored 4 in a game. I legitimately cannot remember the last time that they scored.
It was the last time they played the Union.
I'm
sorry, not the Union, the Revolution. Jesus Christ.
True, yes. They played
themselves. Well, they went through that stretch where they played the Revolution twice. They played a bunch of teams between it. They beat the Revs like 3-1 or 4-1 or something. Then they lost to everybody for a month.
Yeah.
Then they played the Revs again. And once again, they basically just stood over their face with a pressure washer for 90 minutes.
Yeah. And so Michael Valverde, if the Union win, will Rich change his mind about the tournament? And
Rich, you should, because, hey, flags fly forever. Don't give a shit what the flag is for. Mm-hmm. Flags fly for everybody if y'all win it.
Mm-hmm. Banner's a banner.
I encourage every Union fan to carry that banner and carry that trophy and throw it in everyone's face. I don't care how you feel.
Let's make it bigger than NYCFC's championship banner, please.
Please make it bigger than that. But yeah, sling that trophy around and throw it in everyone's face, as you should. Because if Atlanta had gotten off their ass and not lost and gotten grouped by the most struggling team in Mexico, and we're still surviving this, you can bet your ass everybody be hearing about it from the mountaintops at the tops of Stone Mountain.
Yes. And so the word is apparently, according to Rich, they might lose Martinez to Corinthians before the final. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, 4-2. Did not have that on the bingo card. Also did not have on the bingo card and Friends blowing a 2-0 lead. And having Columbus come storming all the way back. I don't know who got the deal with the devil in this case, but more often than not, Messi is out for his 11th straight match.
Well, so in the midst of all this, I think, we laugh at Miami blowing a 2-0 lead. We're also ignoring the fact that until further notice, Columbus is the best team in
absolutely.
the United States, and that's not really up for debate, which makes it all the more funny. The two funniest results this season are Atlanta going down and hammering Miami, and then tripping their way to a 2-1 win against Columbus in the middle of one of the most disappointing seasons in the club's short history. It is very funny to me that the two most MLS results are Atlanta beating really the two of the best teams in MLS, and then frankly giving RSL a run for their money until they just decided to quit playing set-piece defense.
Yeah. So Miami ends up with a 2-goal lead. Rojas and Gomez score. as Diego gets ready for his trip to Brighton some point. And then 3 goals in 13 minutes. C-Ram scores in the 67th to make it
2 goals in 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 goals in 2 minutes. Rossi scores and makes it 2-2, and then Rossi gets his brace in the 80th, and then Columbus works their way through, and they go to the next round. Then the other matchups, Cruz Azul and Mazatlan had their batch of crazy at Audi Field, and there were folks at Audi.
How did that one end, John?
That was a 2-2 draw after 90.
Yeah. Then what happened?
Then it went to PKs, and
Then what happened?
Mazatlan won 3-1 in PKs.
Yeah, guess who missed?
I believe that would be the gentleman that no longer is here in this market up top.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that would be a part of the discussion. So
the Cruz Azul Twitter is not going to let up on the man. Like, you already had like the tweet.
That's a him problem.
Oh, God, I'm worried that Atlanta robbed us, and then he missed a penalty.
No give back. Sorry.
Sorry.
That's
all sales.
All sales are fine.
As Jim Belushi said in the cinematic classic, "Jingle All the Way," when selling the Turbo Man doll, all sales are final.
Mm-hmm. And so Mazatlan advances. Audi Field apparently was its standard batch of sand and divots and holes, and probably would get an N, if not a U, in conduct on its elementary school report card. So it is still not behaving the way that it should as an alleged soccer surface. NYC beat Tigres at Red Bull last night. So the hits just keep on coming in this tournament. So Philadelphia wins. Columbus comes back to beat Ann Friends. Cruz Azul only gets 1 PK in 4 frames and loses to Mazatlan. NYC beat Tigres last night. So if you were looking for Gignac to be making an appearance later in the tournament, the answer to that is no. They're going home. So NYC advanced last night 2-1. Colorado and Toluca. Colorado, they were playing in Commerce City, Colorado. I can't say the Sporting Goods Park brand name without starting to laugh because I have the mind of a 12-year-old.
It's the land of the prairie dogs. The plague prairie dogs.
Yeah. So the rabid prairie dog surface, the patch of grass. Colorado was the away team to Toluca, and Colorado thought they had a 2-1 lead on a goal by Georgi Mihailovic, but it went to review and it got pulled back on offside. So the Rafa Navarro goal that gave him the lead at the break, then you combine that with the Paulinho goal in the 83rd, still had it 1-1. So this is when you pick up your Ticonderoga number 2 pencil and go not so fast, my friend. You end up with a goal at 90+6. Darren Yappy. I didn't have that on my fantasy bingo card for Leagues Cup, but Darren Yappy scores at 90+6. When you thought that it was going to be going to PKs, Colorado, the team that plays there, that was the away team in this match, advances by winning 2-1, or finally winning 2-1 after they thought they had a 2-1 lead in the 89th minute. So Toluca goes home heartbroken.
I'm short timing here as I'm about to jump off.
Right on.
However, once again, give Colorado their flowers and give Chris Armas his flowers, because I know he's been a punchline since 2018, the end of 2018. Chris Armas is getting to, instead of being shoehorned in to whatever the hell Toronto was doing, being shoehorned as an assistant into whatever the hell Manchester United or whoever the hell, or Leeds, or whoever the hell is doing what.
Yeah.
Chris Armas is getting to install, run his offense, run his setup in Colorado. And the early returns are good.
Yeah.
Don't know if it gets better or worse, or if it's just kind of this is what it is.
Yeah.
But Chris Armas in Colorado deserve credit.
Yeah.
I don't think I've heard a wayward word about Chris Armas and how he's conducting himself off the field, and seems like a good dude. People seem to like him.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, give him his flowers. Give Colorado their flowers, because they're stable.
Yeah, just make sure the prairie dogs don't eat them.
It must be nice.
Chris Armas being left alone to his own devices, and you actually do get a level of investment when you get to bring in a Georgi Mihailovic and you get to bring in a couple of folks. Yeah, there's seven figures to the left of the decimal place. You're not breaking the bank by comparison to other clubs, but nevertheless, you're still bringing in dudes. And you brought in Georgi Mihailovic to help you out. And right now, Colorado is one of those clubs that you're sitting there and it's like, yeah, they're punching above what we anticipated. So I think that if this continues, and I don't think he'll win it, but I think that Chris Armas should get consideration in the Coach of the Year balloting. Right now, for me, it's Wilfred Nancy and everybody else. But I think that Chris Armas should get the trip to the Downtown Athletic Club at the end of the calendar year. He should be able to sit there in the front row in a suit and get the 4 shot before Wilfred Nancy ends up getting the hardware. I mean, I think I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility and logic that he should at least get some consideration, and he may from the Western Conference media if this continues for Colorado here in 24.
He deserves at least down ballot votes.
Yes, absolutely.
It's weird in the same sense of like, once again, the year Jim Curtin wins Coach of the Year is the year where I thought there were other options, and the year he doesn't win is the year I thought he should have 100% wanted. It was the way we give awards and stuff is weird sometimes because it's kind of like what we do with like all-star starts in baseball, because the all-star game, once again, just everyone needs to adopt the Korean version of all-star games, where it's like we put an obstacle course on the field, we're letting kids go out and play on the field, like we're dressing people up as costumes, we're doing really dumb things. Great. All-star games should be fun. It should be a giant carnival for all involved, instead of this unwritten rules stuffing madness of like, well, we have to do it this way. We have to give this guy this. It's like a career achievement. Well, okay, but I feel like sometimes we do the same thing with awards. We're like, well, this guy should have won it last year, and he was really good this year, so we're going to give it to him now. But just give the man his down ballot votes this year. I'm assuming it's going to be Wilfred Nancy, because Wilfred Nancy has been given a Death Star, but he's also operated that Death Star pretty damn near peak. And we've seen coaches screw up Death Stars before. So
yes.
Give him his flowers on that front.
Yes. It reminds me of everybody looking at the Death Star and saying, well, that thing's not complete. That doesn't look like a complete Death Star rebuild. And then you sit there and you look at it, and it's perfectly capable of firing weapons all over the place. So you get that with Wilfred Nancy. No real surprise there. Are you going into the real world?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Thursday, tomorrow, 9 o'clock hour, as always, we're going to be catching up with stuff, what happened on the flip side of the transfer window deadline, and then
I'm sure it'll be dumb. And then we get into, honestly, like, I wonder, I don't know how far the club is into all this, but I assume we're going to kick into, like, let's see out the season, see if you can get to the playoffs and see what you can do, and then go into find a manager mode.
Yeah. And
I look forward to those rumors hitting next. Any managers they interview.
Yep, no doubt. And then the Nino and Nico show in hour number 2 tomorrow. So that's the rundown. We'll see you tomorrow, my friend.
Okay.
All right, there goes Jarrett. Jarrett's going to go into the real world. So, like I said, Kim Shelton, the CEO of Lexington SC, set to join us in about 10 minutes. We'll discuss everything that's happened in Lexington. Yesterday, it was a big day. They announced that they are moving up from League One to USL Championship. It's going to be official for 2025. All the construction going on, all the fields that they're making, the complex in its way, the stadium that's completed and finished. I was going to try to combine them into one word. Looking at 7,500 seats. And then you've got Super League coming up. Super League. You have the Super League coming up this weekend to kick things off in USLS. So there's really nothing going on in Lexington, Kentucky whatsoever. Kim Shelton's going to come on and face the Inquisition coming up in about 10 minutes. Okay, the rest of the League's Cup. You had the other 2 matches last night. Club America and All Caps played in Carson at the home of LAG. And the Club America, your top seed, they advance 4-2. You had a goal by Rodriguez in the 15th. It was 1-0 at the break. And then they make the substitution for the pride of of Eastern Georgia, Indiana Vasilev. Indiana Vasilev scores on the 49th to tie it at 1. Then a Lewin PK actually gives St. Louis the lead 2-1 in the 55th. But then Club America puts the pedal down. Goal in the 79th. Rodriguez hits a PK in the 86th, and then Aguirre at 90+8. So St. Louis had a 2-1 lead, ends up with a 4-2 loss, and Club America advances in the Open Cup, in the Leagues Cup After Dark. And then we mentioned LAFC and San Jose, and it was the beginning of the most handsome man in MLS era in Los Angeles. Olivier Giroud got a cup of coffee last night. It was Oliveira scoring in the 17th. As Jarrett said, it was 1-1 after the goal by Lopez in the 41st. Then in the second half, or late first half, Denny Bouanga, PK at 45+5, 2-1 at the break. Mati Bogusz scores with 30 to go, and then Denny Bouanga gets his brace in the 66th. So LAFC advances, winning 4-1 over San Jose Earthquakes. The schedule now, as we know it, we're in the round of 8. And it is all on Saturday. 6 o'clock at the Death Star. Irony involved. NYCFC, and all these are on season pass. NYCFC travels to take on Crew and in Columbus. 7:30 Eastern, Mazatlan travels to Philadelphia to take on the Union at Subaru Park. Seattle hosts LAFC at Lumen at 8 Eastern. Interesting. And then at 10 Eastern, once again in Carson, California, since LAG's not using it anymore, Club America is hosting Colorado Rapids. That's at 10 o'clock. So that's your final 8 in Leagues Cup here in 2024. Columbus hosting NYC, Philadelphia hosting Mazatlan, Seattle hosting LAFC, and Club America hosting Colorado Rapids. So that is the rundown of Leagues Cup After Dark to get us to the round of 8. So time for me to say hi to everybody now that I finally have the opportunity to do it. And I know that a lot of the discussion has been about Atlanta United in the front office and that this morning. So morning, Alex. Morning, Pars. Pars says, my wife asked this morning, why are we linked to strikers barely seem to score when you look at their games played and goals scored? I had no answer. What you're doing is you're looking at the context of the situation involving the individual that you're chasing after and what you believe their skill set is, and given the opportunity. And this is something that has been said about Eldor, that if you look at his skill set and what he has been able to do, say for his national team and things like that, that's what you're looking at. You're looking at tape. You're looking at skill set. You're looking at all the other things that are attached to Eldor Shomurodov. And so that's what you're looking at. You're going second level. There have been folks who have been discussing Eldor specifically, mentioning his skill set and being being a talented striker. But at Roma, he wasn't given the opportunity because, yes, Jose Mourinho spent 17.5 million euro to bring him in, but they would then bring someone else who was more expensive that got the playing time at striker that Eldor did not. And so that's what you're looking at. You're looking at tape. You're looking at history. You're looking at skill set. You're looking at a bunch of other things when you're looking at any individual that you're chasing, regardless of where. So let's see. Morning, Emilio. Morning, Tom. Let's see. Morning, Abby. Still driving incognito, figuring out the stickers. And I know that she mentioned that SDH stickers need to be made. So we'll get into that discussion as well. Let's see. Morning, Alex. Morning, Tom. Morning, Jay Googie. And let's see. So morning, Emilio. Morning, Alex. And we were getting into the discussion about Charlotte. Morning, Unk. Morning, Turner. And the Alex Anthopoulos School of Not Leaking. Absolutely. Unk, morning. Let's see. Morning, Abby. Morning, Derek. Good riddance to Jose Martinez. And Pars, keeping track of the swear jar. Pars is keeping track of the swear jar. I think that Jared ended up with $3 this morning in the swear jar. Let's see. So, morning, Turner. And let's see. Morning, Unk. Morning, Alex. Morning, Emilio. Let's see. Morning, Turner. Yes, another $1. Let's see. Morning. Jay Googie, how do you go big without a permanent coaching staff in place? Just feels cart before the horse. If I were a big splash, why would I go somewhere without the manager in place? It's you're having discussions with the front office about how that individual can be a part of the build, and you're probably mentioning names of, okay, who could, who's coming in. Hey, we're talking to this kind of an individual who would have this kind of approach that fits your game, and you could do this well under these kinds of individuals. And yes, we're having discussions with so and so, and behind closed doors, you might sit there and say, well, yeah, we're talking to so and so, and have that as a part of the discussion too. And that might pique the player's interest. That might pique the agent's interest. So that's. I think that you might be name dropping, but at the very least, you're sitting there and saying, philosophically, we want you to be a part of this because we're looking to do this on the field, A, B, C, D, E. And so that's what you're looking at when it comes to philosophy. Rich can't get a player to save this season when there's no coach in place. Sports 101. Michael Valverde, we discussed the Vieira option. It has gone quiet with the discussion that Patrick Vieira was knocking on the door. But once again, the front office, regardless of what we're discussing, doesn't do things in the public. It doesn't do things in the public sphere. So, I mean, shoot, they could be talking. Look, they could be talking to, insert name here, and we're not going to know about it unless someone is camped out outside Mercedes-Benz 24/7 or camped out the Children's Healthcare Atlanta training ground. You sit there and go, oh, hey, wait, isn't that so-and-so? Or it might be in one of the restaurants nearby. So it's almost like you'd have to look at it like Page 6 and those kinds of sections of newspapers. Hey, yeah, outside in this restaurant in suburban Marietta, we saw so-and-so hanging out with insert personnel here. Let's see. Right. And then Rich mentioning negotiations, tipping your hand in a deal that you can't do. Googie asking about the project. Emilio and Oat Milk. Man, I just can't. Oat Milk. Woof. Morning, David. Morning, Derek. Morning, Michael. Let's see. Morning, Wiley. Schadenfreude is real. Okay. So we're going to have a discussion about X-Cut. So X-Cut, thanks for dropping by. And, account suspended or deactivated. Okay, so that was quick. We didn't have to do anything. David, I agree with that farewell Jose Martinez sentiment. I think he threw at his own kid in the father-son game. Nice euchre reference, by the way. Very good. Very, very good. Like that. Googie at 6'3" in this league. Eldor very well might translate. I think it could be a quality player. Is he a DP? Probably, but it might be a situation where you may buy him down and he could be a high TAM. But I think that it might be like a Saba kind of or a Stian kind of a deal where it might be slightly into the DP range, where if you bring in someone else, you might be able to buy him down and then go high TAM. Sorry. Let's see. I think our window last year was solid to raise the average quality of the team. I see this as a similar type of addition. Alex, doing the Lord's work. Alex reported the bot from our buddy X_cut within 5 seconds. So you're faster on the draw than I am. And we thank each and every one of you for looking out for the collective here. While I'm saying hi to folks, morning ropes, looking at what is going on in the show, you guys are looking out for each other. That's what the Twitch pitch is all about. That's what the Discord's all about. And if you are in the Twitch pitch and are not a part of the Discord, there are folks that can let you into the Discord and to be a part of the conversations there in the picks of the week, where I am a miserable failure, but what else is new? So once again, I can't thank you guys enough for being a part of things here with the SDH and the morning show and everything with SDH family. And when we get to see you guys out in the community, it's great. When you guys interact with us on social media, fantastic. No, it's just we couldn't do this without you, and we couldn't be where we are without you guys. So it's fun on a daily basis where we get to talk about everything. And, I know that we do a lot about the hometown club, but, it's about everything going on in soccer in general. And so at 10:30 Eastern time on the dot, you want to talk about on the dot. I mean, like, this is like Tom Coughlin stuff here where you're like right there at 10:30. Okay. Now we're going to Lexington and we are catching up with a rock star. because things were kind of busy in Lexington, Kentucky yesterday, where they had an announcement, and it's really cool. And we're going to catch up with Kim Shelton, the CEO at Lex SC. She's coming in. Kim, you're in your dress greens. I see that. Congratulations on everything. Welcome to the morning show on the Quick Turn after a very, very busy day. Thanks for dropping by.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So we were discussing the show. We were discussing what's going to happen next year. And we saw some things that were posted on social media about a rivalry that is coming, an anticipatory rivalry. And the new Kentucky Derby. We are looking forward to the Kentucky Derby here on the SDH network. But we posited an opinion, and I don't know if you could pull this off, but if you could, it would be fantastic. Could you talk to your up and coming friends over in Louisville? And is there a way that you could have the Kentucky Derby at Churchill Downs? Is this even a possibility? Could something like this happen to celebrate the new Kentucky Derby when it comes online?
Look, nothing's off the table, right? Nothing's off the table. We are so excited about what the rivalry ahead has in store for us. And look, we'll explore all the possibilities. We want to make this so special for our fans. Any ways that we can do that. I love the idea. There's a lot that goes into that, but I think if you watch the press conference yesterday, Jeremy at the USL talked about ambitious clubs. And I think what you're seeing from us is ambition. And so, yeah, nothing's off the table there.
The ambition that we have been able to watch with the growth of the franchise, both in geography and in desire, both on the field and off, for those that haven't had the chance to drop in and see all of the construction, all of the thought, all of the growth toward the next levels of the game, what in the wide world of sports is going on up there in Lexington, where you guys are building out, you're building up, and you're really becoming a part of the soccer presence here in the Southeast?
There's so much going on, and it's amazing, right? As when I came onto the club and talked to our ownership about, why are you doing this, right? Why are you taking this on? And it's about, for our ownership, it's about the kids. Right. And providing an opportunity. So, on our complex, we've got 7, high-end turf, fully lit fields for our youth club and our academy. And those kids playing on those fields overlook, and soon will overlook a completed, right? Overlook right now construction on a 7,500 seat stadium. It's state of the art. Right. As you go out there and now the turf is laid and it's soaking in the water and preparing for the upcoming matches. Opening on September the 8th with the Super League game there on September the 8th. But the kids get to overlook that and see their dreams kind of coming to life. And so, yeah, I mean, it's everywhere from the youth kids all the way up the entire USL ecosystem. And every step is now included in our pathway.
What's it been like for you to see the sport grow from your time there at UK? Yeah. So, I mean, you've seen it grow from the UK level from the time you were in college to now. What's it been like for you to see the footprint and the growth of the sport get to this point from your first influences that you had there in the state of Kentucky?
Absolutely amazing, right? You go from the fields that we were playing on at UK and while I was there, UK invested and built a new complex. And then I left UK and went to work for the Women's World Cup in ¡99. And, when that event was originally pitched to Marla Messing, it was, we're going to have it at small venues. And she said, no, we're not. We're going to go into big venues. And then being at Soldier Field for the events we hosted in Chicago, and then having the chance to go to the Rose Bowl and seeing what happened there. And then, over the course of those 25 years, we've kind of ebbed and flowed in the popularity of the game and the ability to sustain professional leagues. And we're in our moment, right? I think the game's at its moment, the popularity of the game as a whole. I know a lot of our conversations on the men's side right now and what we're doing with the move to the Championship League and growing and building in that way. But, on the women's side, the Super League being developed as another league and another opportunity for women to play Division I soccer in our country. So, it's so exciting to see where we've been. I was on the first varsity program at Kentucky. We were able to really kind of start some things, and now to see where we are today it's inspiring. Every day I see it as a responsibility to continue to carry that torch, and to create new opportunities for our kids.
I do want to get into the Super League discussion in just a little bit as a part of the larger picture there with what you're doing in Lexington. But at the USL League One level, I mean, right now there are numbers out there, depending on your source, that the level of investment in the type of player that you're looking for there at Lex SC, you're not messing around, and you haven't messed around. I mean, when Cameron Lancaster was a name that was mentioned, it's like, whoa, okay, you're serious from jump here. So the level of investment in the players and what you want to see on the field has been there from the absolute beginning. It hasn't been an afterthought. It's like, yeah, we're in League One and we're going to go to championship. No, we're going to have quality talent with our League One team, and then we'll grow and continue to go to championship. So you guys haven't been messing around at all.
That's right. That's right. I mean, the investment in the players, the investment in the facilities, the investment in the staff. We're blessed. Our ownership is committed, right? They're committed. They're ambitious. They're competitive, right? Fiercely competitive. We're pushing for success, and success can mean a lot of different things. But again, I do lean back to, okay, how do we create that environment that our kids, that our youth players can see a pathway to success at the highest level.
What do you think the biggest challenge in going from League One to USL Championship is? It could be on the field, off the field. What do you think the biggest challenge is coming up for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've got to raise the bar, right? We've got to compete. We've got to compete at a high level. We want to succeed. Right. It's not a secret. All right. It's out there. Our success on the pitch hasn't been what we wanted it to be. We've had a lot of injuries. We've got a lot of things go on. That's the game, and it's part of it. So yeah, we've got to dig in. We've got to compete, and continue to invest in players that are going to get us to that next level.
How difficult is investment in today's age, where as soccer continues to grow, and it grows exponentially because of all of the leagues, because of all of the cities that are now involved, the Southeast in and of itself, especially in USL League One, a huge part of the footprint of the development of the league. How difficult is it these days to set yourself apart, to sit there and say, you need to come under our tent flaps as opposed to going someplace else when it comes to how you want to grow and how you want to continue to present yourself as that steward in the community?
Yeah, I think that if you look at our club and you look at the investment that's been made in for nothing else, the facilities, and I know right now we haven't had a lot of people out there yet. You've not yet seen what's being developed at our new facility, and you will very, very soon. And when you see that, right, as a player, there was a couple of our players have had the chance now to step out onto the pitch and say, wow, I've never played on anything like this before, right? And so creating that environment. We talk about inspiring our young people, but even inspiring our pros, right? So I think if we get a player in town and can see what we're developing and what we're investing in and our commitment to this club, I think there'll be a lot of folks that'll be interested in coming to Lexington.
Kim Shelton, the CEO at Lexington SC, hanging out with us here on the morning show. Exciting news as they are going to be heading to USL Championship next year. You've got USL Super League coming up in short order. What's it like for you and the staff and everybody there to juggle all of these different kinds of chainsaws that you're having to do and dance at like 9,000 miles an hour to make sure that everything is going the direction you want and that nothing gets left behind or neglected, that everything moves together as one piece?
Yeah, it's intense, right? You're building a stadium, you're launching a new team and a brand new league, all the while in the midst of a League One season and planning to move up to the Championship League. So there's a lot happening. We've got great people who are committed and passionate about what we're doing. From ownership to front office staff to sporting staffs and players, right? I think the players get to see what we're doing. So it is a juggle for sure, but we've got great people march.
Super League. And I know that that's another part of this equation here, the growth of the collective there. What has the vibe been like? What's the level of excitement been like as you're getting ready for this next part that is the large umbrella that's everything going on there in Lexington? What's the level of anticipation like?
So exciting. So exciting. It couldn't happen at a better time, right? As you think about the momentum behind women's sports at this moment in our history, we see this as our moment, right? This is a moment in time that that opportunity exists and more opportunities being created for women in sports and here in professional sports. Getting the community engaged and supportive and rallying around these women who now have an opportunity that may not have been presented to them before, to play professional soccer and to play it in our country. Right, too many were having to go overseas to find opportunity, and so many of them are now home and back in the States, and so grateful, right, for the opportunity, and you see that with these women as we go out into the community and we host community events, and so engaging and passionate about what we're doing. So it's a lot of fun to watch these women and their passion for their next step here.
Do you ever get a moment to yourself where you get to sit there and, I mean, even if it's like 15 or 20 seconds to catch your breath and stand on the sidewalk and go, man, we're going from League One to the championship in USL. We're bringing the Super League online. We're building this facility that is stadium, that is other fields to help grow the game from the youth level and there with the club all the way forward. Do you ever get a moment to yourself to sit there and go, man, we're really accomplishing a lot, even though you know that there's a lot more to do? Do you ever get that kind of a moment to sit there and say, man, we're really doing something here?
I've said a couple of times, we've come a long way in the last 6 months, right? And we've really come a long way in the past 2 years, right? We've continued to grow and take steps. But for me, having been here now, I guess 8 months, we've come a long way, and we have a long way to go, right? And so I think when you take that moment, you reflect on everything that you've accomplished, and we remind ourselves why we're doing this, right? Why, make sure that we understand that we're doing this, we're inspiring young people, and take a moment to remind yourself of that in the chaos of a day that is juggling all those chainsaws, as you say. But then know that we have a long way to go. We've got a lot of work to do. We've got a bunch of games in September with the Super League and League One, with League One finishing up in September and October, and then the Super League coming on board. We've got a lot of games coming up in a brand new stadium, and so we'll have kinks to work out. Candidly, the stadium will still be building upon it. So we've got some ideas and ways that we can present that to fans, and more to come on that. But I do hope to be able to take a moment after that Super League game, after we launch the stadium and we've got the Super League game, the first home match under our belt. I hope to take a moment while the lights are still on to enjoy what we just accomplished.
What I like to ask occasionally of whether it's front office personnel or coaches or players, when something is new and something is being built and continues to grow, I always like to ask this question. I know that somewhere in your office there is a to-do list, and I mean, it could be on a legal pad that you've got stashed. It could be on like in the old days. I say old days, for folks of a certain vintage, where you sit there and it's like you got your BlackBerry, you pull the stylus out, you write an idea on the memo pad, you jam the stylus back in, you put it away, you text yourself a note about something, and you continue to figure out what you need to do to work things out. Or it could be on that big white dry erase board that's off camera, that's like 4 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and it's got a lot of squiggles on it in different colors. Yeah. Where is your to-do list when it comes to everything up there with the club? And what do you think the next thing that you can cross off of that to-do list is? Ooh. Whether it's on the USL League One to USL Championship side, whether it's on the USL Super League side, whether it's something infrastructure-wise about the collective, what do you think the next thing is that you can cross off that to-do list to continue to work things forward as you're juggling all these different things?
Yeah, I come from the sponsorship side of the business. My background is in the sponsorship side. We have incredible naming rights opportunity at this facility that we haven't even really started to talk about yet. So that's the next big one in terms of, generating revenue that will come back to the club to be able to allow us to do all of the things that we want to do. So from a business perspective, that's the big one that's on my to-do list.
When it comes to jumping from League One to Championship, I imagine that they're going to have you in the Eastern Conference. So, the FC Tulsa goes from one side to the other. Memphis goes from one side to the other. It's kind of like the Milwaukee Brewers of Major League Baseball for a reference for those of us of a certain vintage. When it comes to all of the financials that come in play for taking that big jump to USL Championship, I know that you're doing that in investing in players, but then there are all of those other elements that are attached to it. How much work is it going to be making sure that your budget is acceptable internally to where you can make the flights to Rhode Island to take on Rhode Island FC, that you're giving the best to the players, that you're taking care of everything going on down there in Lexington? How much of it is a concern making sure that your budgets are going to be where right now you're doing a great job, that you can continue that momentum going forward?
Yeah, we're blessed that our ownership have invested generously to get us to the place that we are, and to the point on the next on the to-do list. I think generating those revenues that will allow us to compete as we look at from a budget perspective with the top tier of the Championship League. We didn't come into this to just stay at the bottom tier, right? We want to be in that top group. And so, we're in the middle of having some of those budget conversations, but, from my perspective and with my background, it is about how do we've got to go generate that revenue to make sure that we are competing with our investments in the club.
And I know that, when you have attendance figures being what they are, you're still outdrawing some of the folks in USL Championship right now with what you're doing in League One. I know that you want to have more folks in the seats there in League One and getting ready for the new stadium in USL Championship. Plans to improve attendance. One of our folks on the Twitch pitch is asking about that. What are the plans to improve attendance right now this season and leading into the new barn as you go into USL Championship next season?
Yeah, we feel confident that the move from Georgetown is, as you may know, we're playing at a neighboring community that had where we were able to launch our club. The move from Georgetown to Lexington, I think, just naturally will create some of that. We're also spending a lot of time getting out into the community, making sure that our community knows our players, knows our coaches, knows our leadership. Spending a lot of time in the community. Investing in marketing, right? We've put a pretty strong campaign in the market, tying back to some of our roots. So we're investing in some ways. We're spending time in many other ways, and I think just by location and place, we'll feel that. And the move to Championship League. I think people coming in and seeing that caliber play will change the dynamic for us as well.
That and having a game at Churchill Downs against Blue City.
And then there's that.
Thanks for coming on absolutely the shortest notice humanly possible. Literally yesterday, we dialed up and it's like, hey, we'd like to have somebody to come on and talk about it. I can't thank you enough for coming on and everybody that made all this happen. The day after the big announcement that Lexington is now heading to USL Championship next season. Thanks for dropping by. Great to see you. Congratulations on everything. USL League One heading to Championship, USL Super League coming online, the new stadium, all of the build, all of it. Sounds like it's fantastic. Crash the party anytime. You've got something to say, you know how to get in touch with us. Come on in and we'll talk everything Lexington. Thanks for dropping by, Kim. I really appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you so much.
All right. That's Kim Shelton. She's the CEO at Lexington SC. And literally yesterday it was like, hey, you guys had an announcement. We want to have somebody on. And so Kim graciously came on this morning to talk about everything going on with Lex SC and their move from League One to Championship. That's big. It's happened a couple of times previously in League One where folks have gone up to Championship and they've worked their way forward and made an impact there in USL Championship. So let me see if we got this straight. You're going from League One to Championship. You are starting USL Super League this weekend. You are continuing to build your stadium that is 7,500, and you're going to have folks in the 7,500 seat stadium. I imagine it has elements for expansion and being able to do that in the future. And you're continuing to build your fantastic facility with all of the youth fields and all of the development that's there, that's attached to it all. So basically, nothing going on in Lexington. Absolutely nothing. But no, it was great for them to sit there and say, yeah, we'll have our CEO come on, Kim Shelton, lexsporting.com, lexsporting.com, and then you can go from there and see everything going on with all of their social media. They're on the Facebooks at Lexington Sporting Club, obviously on the 280 character app at Lex Sporting, and they're also at Lexington Sporting Club on the IG, the Gram, or the Insta, whatever the kids call it these days. So Lexington Sporting Club, they are up and running. They had the big announcement yesterday, and I can't thank them enough for coming and crashing the party and letting everybody know what's going on up there in Lexington. So very, very cool stuff that is going on in Lexington, Kentucky across the board. Okay, final 15 minutes, and it's whatever else is on your mind here in the Twitch pitch, as always. And it is everything going on. So Abby's like, didn't have women's collegiate soccer in her time up there, and they had only club. And Evan, I hope that helped in asking the question about attendance. And I think that to Kim's point, it is a natural progression. Being out in Georgetown, moving into your facility that is yours, being closer to everything in the Lexington soccer footprint, and also Kim mentioned the competition that's going on in USL Championship, because once again, you look at the standings. Obviously, Lou City right there at the top of the table, and Danny Cruz and what they're building at Lou City, fantastic stuff. You get to see great talent that continues to just churn year after year after year there in Louisville. Charleston, we know what Charleston has been able to build over the last handful of seasons with Ben Pierman in charge. Their run to a title game last year. You get that competition coming in. Tampa Bay Rowdies, a traditional power, and you get to see the talent that's there. Then you get to go like to Indy 11, Birmingham, Rhode Island, Detroit City. Loudon, we caught up with Coach Martin earlier this year about what they're trying to do to continue to grow. So, and you look at the talent that's in North Carolina and Pittsburgh and Hartford, and it's been a real rough season for the Miami FC. But you see that the talent that's there in USL Championship, and it's a drawing card. And then you look at the Western Conference with the clubs that are there. You get to see a guy like Alex Tembakis at New Mexico United. You get to see Sacramento Republic, a traditional power, once every other year. I imagine that's how the schedule will go. News on Oakland Roots, by the way. Oakland Roots in the West, they're going to be playing at the Oakland Coliseum next year. So that's fantastic news. That as they're building their own modular facility, they're going to spend the 25 season at the Oakland Coliseum. So very, very cool stuff there. Stephen Glass and Memphis 901. We know how they just like to put the ball in the back of the net and drive folks crazy and take the over if you're into juice boxes. So you get high-powered offenses, great talent in the second division, and Lexington SC is going to be a part of that next season in the in USL Championship. So right now you're at 24 clubs in the in USL Championship. You're adding obviously Lexington to make it 25, so that's 13 and 12. Then what you're looking at is you're looking at Brooklyn coming online, and you're looking at Jacksonville, and now there's a discussion as to is Jacksonville a 25 or a 26. We'll keep an eye on that. And then you've also got OKC Energy coming online, and that will help you out with the balance in the Western Conference. And then in a couple of seasons, you're looking at USL Pro Iowa and Milwaukee as well. So next season, you might see folks shifting from the East to the West. And if it's two Eastern clubs that are coming in, or three Eastern clubs, or I think that if you have the two Eastern clubs coming in with Brooklyn and with Lexington, then you could have, say, in the West, you could have folks shifting over there, and you could have OKC being added in the West as a natural partner for FC Tulsa, and we'll see what happens there. So big news out of Lexington, and it was great to have Kim drop by and let everybody know what's going on there in Lexington. So very, very cool stuff across the board. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Hang on just a second. Made sure that my throat was clear for the final 10 minutes of the show. Okay, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and everything else that is going on this morning. So there's a lot across the pond as everything is trying to get match raced in before we end up with the Premier League season, with all of the gossip coming in, first divisions all across Europe. Right now, just to update you on things involving the TV deal in France. And I know that there will be a lot of folks that are going to be paying attention to what's going on there. Jonathan Tannenwald, who is tied into everything France, by the way. I mean, Jonathan Tannenwald specifically, you want to find out anything about Ligue 1 or anything about French football, you go to Tannenwald first. It appears that according to Jonathan Tannenwald, that you have a temporary, basically you have a stopgap when it comes to TV in France for Ligue 1. And it appears that you're looking at, according to our friends at World Soccer Talk, BN airing Ligue 1 for the opening weekend. The broadcaster has informed its TV provider partners that games will be shown starting with Le Havre and PSG. And so it's for the start of the 24-25 season. Christopher Harris over at World Soccer Talk, obviously fans of Ligue 1 clubs, and it gives us a chance to continue to follow Caleb Wiley at Strasbourg and watch him on a weekly basis. A decision reached on late Tuesday between the French governing body at the LFP and BN to continue to be the U.S. broadcaster and continue broadcasting matches Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Looks like more details announced shortly, and coverage begins Friday with PSG and Le Havre. You can get it on Fubo and Fanatis. Go to fntz.co/soccer down here. You get all the BNs, you get CDO, Nuestra Tele for the fans, all the stuff, all the things, and you can continue to watch everything going on in the world of soccer through Fanatis, and you get the BNs. LFP has a lot of other headaches. They lost their League 1 broadcaster in the UK. TNT is not doing it in England. Concerns about Spain, Italy, Middle East, North Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa. And BN and LFP Media are having discussions about international rights deals. And so right now, that is the latest. If you want to continue to keep an eye on Caleb Wiley and what's going on there, then you can follow along with the BN and see what the latest is with BN Sports. Okay, so gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Brentford holding out for at least $60 million for Ivan Toney, monitored by Chelsea and Manchester United. Ajax interested in signing Aaron Ramsdale. They're also considering a move for Espanyol's keeper Joan Garcia as Ajax ponder a new offer for Ramsdale after having the loan bid rejected. 4-letter paper, take the information at your own peril. Real Madrid will not allow Vinicius Jr. to leave for Saudi Pro, even if they get the world record fee. Remember, the release clause is for $1 billion. Billion with a B. And the Saudi Pro League wants to pay him €350 million a year. Right now, Real Madrid's like, nah. But if you get close to that number, I don't know how Real Madrid can say no. Al Ittihad did not want to sell N'Golo Kante despite links with West Ham and Atletico Madrid. Bournemouth targeting Eddie Nketiah to fill the void of Dominic Solanke. Once again, 4-letter paper. Brighton have made an approach for Olivier Boscali, but PSV Eindhoven want much more than the Seagulls have offered. Leicester City have made a £4 million offer for Crystal Palace forward Jordan Ayew. Once again, 4-letter paper. Chelsea want to hand Nico Jackson a 2-year extension that would commit him to the club till 2033. Everton have had a £24 million offer, including add-ons for Brazilian striker Vitor Roque, rejected by Barca. Manchester United interested in signing Marcus Alonso, who's on a free. Wales defender Ben Davis, likely to see out the final year of his deal at Spurs rather than move elsewhere. Napoli and RB Leipzig leading the race to sign Atletico Madrid's Samu Amorat. I had it and I lost it. Amorodion, after his move to Chelsea collapsed. Getafe interested in taking 19-year-old center back from Spurs Ashley Phillips. Two Premier League clubs have asked Southampton about the availability of midfielder Carlos Alcaraz. Brentford are closing in on a deal for center back Dara O'Shea, which will give Burnley a profit of $7 million they paid to sign him from West Brom last year. So that is the gossip, rumor, and innuendo from the morning from our friends at the BBC. So looking at our insiders, Arsenal have stepped up their efforts to sign Real Sociedad's Mikel Merino. Edu has been in Spain as he looks to broker a deal. Liverpool are exploring a deal to sign Valencia keeper Georgi Mamardashvili. Remember him, teammate of Sabalob Janidze in the Euros. Valencia value him at more than 45 million euro, close to 50 million US. If a deal can be agreed, expectation is that Mamardashvili would not join Liverpool until 25. Conor Gallagher has returned to Chelsea as the plan move to Atletico continues to stall. Could still go through. He's returned to the UK at Chelsea's request, with his immediate future no clear, with less than 3 weeks to go in the transfer window. And Wilfred Zaha has returned to Galatasaray training in the absence of a deal to leave the club. Apparently, it has to do with the tax implications associated with a move back from Turkey. So Wilfred Zaha is trying to find a solution to get him back to England. But right now, because of the taxes, it ain't looking good. So the Eldor update and the Beal update, I guess, would be the two that we're looking at this morning. And the latest is still that Eldor was not in training this morning at AS Roma. He was off to the side training. And so you have that as the latest. Once again, keep an eye on that, till late tonight. And Scarves and Spikes in. They will have the look at everything going on as we get closer and closer and closer to the deadline of everything when it comes to this particular transfer window in Major League Soccer. Once again, you're looking at Messi out for the foreseeable future. We mentioned the Miguel Almiron issues. Looks like the Beal value coming from Bahia was the main issue as Bahia continues to evaluate and value Beal at a larger price tag than a lot of folks. The $8 million that was offered to Bahia for Beal. Right now, they're in the Copa do Brasil and at the end of the Brasileiro, and they didn't want to lose Beal, meaning Bahia. They didn't want to lose Beal because you're dealing with the end of two competitions, and it's important for Bahia to keep Beal around. And Beal also mentioned that his family is very solid there in the community, didn't really want to go. And he has, since he arrived to Bahia from Fluminense after a stint from Grêmio, once again, you're looking at a club that understands selling somebody this late in two competitions could damage you in those two competitions. And Beal also enjoys his time at Bahia and does not want to go. So he's at 23, and right now he has said that he doesn't want to go. Pachuca has also knocked on the door in trying to get Beal from Bahia, and it appears that Pachuca has not made a formal offer like Atlanta United had for Beal. And so right now, not looking like anything's going to budge on Beal from Bahia. So keep an eye on what's going on with Eldor and with Roma as we have another 12 hours or so left in the window. Obviously, tomorrow we'll discuss everything that happened in the window. Abby, good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. And we will have the 9 o'clock hour to go through it all. 10 o'clock hour, as always. Now, Nino's been fighting the weather, so hopefully he'll be healthy enough to go fully loaded at 10. Our buddy Nico Moreno will come on Thursdays with Nico at 10:30, and we'll break everything down there as well. So tomorrow, remember, I will be in a hotel room in Cordial, Georgia, because of other duties attached to a couple of the other me's. And so Thursday is in a hotel room in Cordial. Friday is in the hotel room that we were in to end last week in Phoenix City, Alabama. So it'll be Cordial on Thursday, Phoenix City on Friday. Football Friday is on Friday. And so that's where everything is gravitating toward the end of the week. And obviously, we'll keep you posted on everything. It looks like our soccer is in session content. We're going to have the folks from Georgia Southern on Tuesday. And we will keep an eye out for all of our soccer content that'll either be live or taped. And we'll let you know what else is going on there as well. Thanks to Tyler for dropping by. And thanks to Kim Shelton, the CEO at Lex SC, for dropping by as well. It was a great surprise. Great that we could get that done. Dan Kett and everybody there in Lexington gets major kudos and a tip of the hat for turning that one and talking about the big news that has happened up there in Lexington. So very, very cool that they were able to come and hang out with us this morning on the morning show. So follow them on all these social media platforms as they go and grow from USL League One. Get ready for USL Championship. Get ready for USL Super League. Get ready to build their facilities and continue to build that out. And, don't hang clothes from sprinklers. Sounds like a voice of experience, although it is not mine. I did not do that. And hey, until the window's done, Unc, you're still going. You still got to find out what's going on. But like I said, we'll find out any other transfer stuff that happened today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Nino and Nico in the 10 o'clock hour, and I'll be in Cordial, and we'll see. We will test the limits of Wi-Fi and wireless technology, and we'll see what's going on. As always, thanks to all of you guys for coming in and being a part of the discussion. Thanks to all of you who have conversations with each other on the Twitch pitch, part of that family and part of what's going on here as we go through the day in soccer here on Soccer's Morning Show on the SDH Network. So for everybody here at SDH, once again, thanks for dropping by. We'll be back in a little less than 22. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to whistle us out. And so everybody whistle along as you would.
Good day.